Welcome to the podcast, folks. Today we're diving straight into the world of property sourcing. Um, you know, that intriguing mix of finding off market deals and handling all the details yourself.
Absolutely. There's a lot to unpack. Like, when do you go with a sourcer and when do you roll up your sleeves and get in the game yourself? Yep.
Right. It's like sometimes you're hit with these below market value deals, and you have that moment of thinking, oh boy, is this too good to be true? Or maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
already sourcing on your own and feel the weight of all that legwork.
Oh, totally. I mean, there's that classic dilemma. A sourcer might deliver the deal with a ready-made package, but you might wonder if you're forfeiting some control over the details. Yeah?
Exactly. And just to set the stage, a property sourcer is basically the middle person who finds and packages these deals for investors. They are here to save you time and provide local expertise, which is super beneficial if you're relocating your investments or simply juggling multiple projects.
Right. They've got networks up and down, vendors, local agents, even builders, and sometimes that can really speed things up if you're a busy investor. Yep.
Yep, and the sourcer often brings a sort of local flavor to the deal, like a secret passcode to a hidden market. Think about it. While you might be scouring listings online, they've got the inside scoop and sometimes even access to off market gems.
Yeah, and that's exactly why some investors lean so heavily on them, especially if they're testing a new area or strategy. But the question remains, do you relinquish some control when you outsource this part?
That's a great point. There's definitely a trade off. Using a sourcer can speed things up and provide you with vetted deals, but then you do have concerns like transparency or even fees that can run anywhere from a couple of grand up to 5 grand plus, which is
Mm-hmm,
not trivial.
for sure. And on that note, many investors also express concerns over how these deals are actually sourced. It's kind of like, did the sourcer really run all the numbers, or are they just flying by the seat of their pants?
Right, there's always that risk of not fully understanding the sourcing process. It sometimes feels like you're trusting someone else's instincts without the complete roadmap, and that can be a bit risky in a market that's competitive and ever changing.
Interesting, because there's also a flip side, isn't there? Like, if you do it yourself, you're building that muscle over time. You get better at identifying red flags, like those guaranteed ROI promises, which are, usually just, well, overhyped.
Exactly. And that self sourcing skill not only saves you money on fees, but truly empowers you. It's like learning a craft. Every deal you source yourself, you build experience and, better intuition for what works and what doesn't.
Right on. And let's talk about the pros of using a sourcer. They've got off market connections and can act much faster than you might on your own, right?
Yes, indeed. Speed is a huge factor. In property, timing is oftentimes the difference between snapping up a great deal or letting it evaporate. And their network, um, essentially multiplies your deal flow, especially if you're not based locally.
I mean, imagine being a remote investor. Without local on the ground insights, it would be almost impossible to tap into those real, genuine opportunities. That's a huge plus.
Absolutely. And even if you're not remote, sometimes you're just too busy with other projects. But here's where I'd respectfully challenge a bit. Some argue that relying on a sourcer too much can end up eroding your own market skills. What do you think about that?
I see that point. Relying solely on someone else's network might mean you're not constantly learning the nuances of the market yourself. It's like relying on a mechanic for every little issue. Eventually, you're not learning the trade. Yeah?
Exactly, it's a balancing act. And on the flip side, there are cons. Beyond the significant fees, there can be a serious lack of transparency in how the deal was put together.
Right, like if you don't know what makes the deal tick, you're really just buying a black box of information. And that risk doesn't just stop at fees, it's also about regulatory risks, like sourcers who might not be compliant.
Yes, compliance is a big concern too. You want to see proper PI insurance, AML regs, all that. Without it, you're just rubbing elbows with, unregulated or unscrupulous operators.
Exactly. And let's not forget the hidden trap of losing the muscle in sourcing. When you turn to a sourcer too quickly, you might, over time, lose the confidence to find deals on your own and miss out on actual training in this field.
Yeah, it's like every investor should ideally be a sourcer at heart. Even if you do plan on using sources, having that underlying skill is invaluable. It's about making sure you never become too dependent.
Spot on. Now let's discuss when is it actually smart to bring in a sourcer? Like, what are the real scenarios?
Well, a few scenarios immediately come to mind. Say you're working full time and want to dip your toes into property investing without being overwhelmed by the legwork. Or perhaps you're targeting a new geographical area where local knowledge is key.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like if you're diving into a completely unfamiliar market, the localized insight can be a lifesaver. Plus, for volume builders, having a sourcer streamline the process can be a huge time saver.
Absolutely. And for those testing a new strategy with a need for a quick proof of concept, using a sourcer might offer fast access to deals, even if you're still honing your sourcing skills.
Right, but then it's crucial that you define your outcome first. Let the sourcer support your strategy rather than letting them steer the course.
Yes, that alignment is essential. You need clear goals and, insight into how the deal was sourced. And that brings us to red flags, the things you really shouldn't ignore.
Totally. From what I gather, red flags include deals that promise quick, guaranteed ROIS, or those with a rushed sense of urgency, kind of a FOMO deal. That's a big no-no.
Absolutely, deals that trigger panic buying often lack solid analysis. And then there's the absence of comparable sales data or any proof that the vendor is motivated. That's very fishy.
Exactly. Add to that any situation where there's no control over the refurbishing team or exit strategy. These details are non-negotiable for long-term success.
Right. And speaking of details, a sourcer without actual sourcing experience, like someone who's new in the game, probably isn't the best partner. You need a track record.
Yes, and that's why ultimately training is key, whether you're using a sourcer or doing it yourself. It builds confidence, helps you catch those errors, and essentially accelerates your success.
Yeah, training is like the secret sauce. It empowers you to spot poor deals, negotiate better, and build meaningful relationships with agents and vendors over time. It's like, once you build that muscle, you'll never be the same investor again.
For sure. And, every investor at some level learns to be a sourcer. It's just a matter of how much you want to rely on someone else versus building your own intuition.
Exactly. It's all about that balance. Using a saucer is great for speed and access, but if you're in it for the long haul, absorbing the ins and outs of property sourcing is what truly sets you apart.
Right, because the real value in investing isn't just closing deals. It's in understanding how every element of the process works, from sourcing to exit planning.
Absolutely. And to wrap it up, just remember, know what property sourcing is really for. Don't outsource blindly, and always, always get trained. That training keeps paying back every time you close a deal.
Yeah, well said. And if any of this sparked something for you, be sure to reach out with your questions or your own sourcing stories. Who knows? They might just feature in our next conversation.